Every Playboi Carti album explained in 5 minutes. I will also explain Carti's leaked albums, and by the end of this video, I will reveal what Carti's next album will most likely be based on everything we know. But to answer that, we have to start with his first ever album he made when he was 16 years old, Young Misfit. Before he was Playboi Carti, he was called Sir Cartier. If you watch this all the way through, you'll see how he went from this generic mixtape kid to a cult leader whose own fans hated him twice and still never left. You'll see how over time he developed such a loyal fan base he can go 5 years without dropping an album and be more relevant than ever. Young Misfit is pure prove I can rap energy. The flow is stiff, the beats are traditional, and Carti here sounds like every other 2010s underground rapper. This is a good album, but his next albums are about to get way better. You're gonna want to watch till the end, as I'll eventually rank all his albums, including his unreleased and leaked ones. Fast forward to In Abundance, a fan compilation of his 2014 to 2016 SoundCloud tracks. By this point, Carti has figured something out. Lyrics are actually holding him back. He starts stripping words away. The vibe becomes more important than the sentences. This is the first glimpse of the Carti formula that never really goes away. Every time the rest of rap chases complicated lyrics, he strips more meaning out of his words and somehow gets bigger. Then comes his official breakout album, Playboi Carti. This is the project where he stops acting like a traditional rapper and starts using his voice like an instrument. People called it mumble rap, but they missed the point. On songs like Location and Magnolia, Carti isn't telling a story. He's treating his voice like a hi-hat, and the ad-libs are the real lead vocals. It's minimal, it's repetitive, and it accidentally creates a blueprint for the late 2010s SoundCloud wave everyone tried to copy. After that, we hit the strangest album in his catalog, 1629. This is an unreleased and leaked album from Carti and Lil Uzi Vert tape that was scrapped and did not drop. They recorded hundreds of songs together. Uzi was emotional and melodic. Carti was cold and detached. Fans imagined a full collab album and even gave it a name, 1629. The album is a collection of leaks, unreleased songs, and fan-edited songs from Carti and Uzi. Proof of how obsessed people were with that era of Carti. Kinda rightfully so, to be honest. In just a couple minutes, I'll rank all of Carti's albums and tell you what his next album will most likely be. Carti moves on and drops Die Lit. This is the album that turns his shows into moving riots. This is also when most people first became a fan of Carti. If the self-titled album is pretty laid back, Die Lit is pure punk rap. Working with Pierre Bourne, he builds songs that feel radioactive. They don't slowly build to a drop, they start at 100% and just stay there. Notice how the beats barely have big switch-ups? They just loop. It's like ambient music for mosh pits. Die Lit doesn't just make him a star, it teaches a generation of producers to prioritize melody over drums. Here's the part fans weren't ready for, the album that looked like career suicide but secretly set up his final form. And then he drops Whole Lotta Red. When it released on Christmas 2020, the first reaction was brutal. People said it was trash because he completely killed cool laid-back Carti. The beats are distorted and abrasive like a panic attack. He pitches his voice up into a demon baby, then down into a growl. It stops trying to sound good and focuses on sounding dangerous. Fans clowned it at first, but 2 years later, this is the sound every high-energy rap show is chasing. Overall, very solid album. One more album to explain before I rank them and tell you what his future album will be. After years of delays and random singles, he finally drops music, sometimes labeled I Am Music. All of that chaos leads to this version of Carti, the one every new rapper tries to copy but still can't match. After years of the baby voice era, he flips the formula and goes in the opposite direction. Deeper vocals, heavier production, and a darker, more experimental tone. The beats are rough and industrial, full of distortion and space, and his delivery sounds colder and more controlled. Less wild, but just as commanding. If you zoom out across these albums, he's covered the whole spectrum, from a lyrical mixtape rapper, to a minimalist mumble pioneer, to a punk energy frontman, to this low-frequency powerhouse. Here's my personal ranking of all 7 albums. At number 7, we got Young Misfit. It's understandable since this was his very first album and he was only 16, but still his worst work in my opinion. 6 is 1629. This could have been an amazing album, but it was scrapped, which is why it's at the bottom of the list. 5 is In Abundance. Number 4 for me is Music. This has some really great tracks on it, but just too many that are not as good. Third place is Playboi Carti. This is just an amazing album. Second place is Whole Lotta Red. I love the style of Carti, and the only reason it's not number 1 is because it's just not quite as consistent as number 1, which is Die Lit. I don't care what anyone says. This is his absolute best album. It's a 10 out of 10. This is the first album I really started to listen from Carti, and I loved it then and still love it now. So what's next for Carti? Most fans think the next era is something called Baby Boy. It's supposed to be the project he's been building since Whole Lotta Red, a mix of that early, chaotic energy with the darker, heavier sound from music. If that's true, we might be getting the best of both worlds, a mix of his older stuff and newer stuff. And honestly, that's what keeps Carti special. Every time people think they figured him out, he flips the whole sound again.
Subscribe for more music explanations.